See, everybody has a dark side. I never physically abusive, but I was mentally and emotionally abusive. The reason I'm never happy because I'm driven for success. So I'm chasing me to be a more excellent male. Boss was devastated. She said, I'm out of here.
So you recognize that you were being the asshole. So I kind of want to go that angle. Are you okay with that? We're here at the Vault with financial legend, financial educator legend, Robert Kiyosaki. This is going to be a different type of interview. You just got off stage with PBD, Patrick Bet-David. You talked about all sorts of things. Obviously, the market, real estate, economy, money, business, politics. You're not shy about anything.
No.
But this is going to be a totally different type of interview because we're not even going to go to much of that. We're going to go to really relationships. Good. That's sort of like what everybody is talking about these days, whether it's Andrew Tate or Rollo Tomasi or Fresh and Fit or what we do on the Soscast. So I kind of want to go that angle. Are you okay with that?
Well, I love Rollo and I love Fresh and Fit, so it's fine with me.
That's awesome. There it is, shout out right there. Rollo's texting me as we speak. Oh, ask him this, tell him about this. I'm like, and when Rollo goes, he goes. So I have a couple paragraphs to read, so I'm just gonna kind of go with this. But on my show, on Valuetainment, on Valuetainment Money, it's called the Soscast, and it's where finance meets romance. Right. And you said something yesterday that I was like, oh wow, I'm gonna quote this. You said you get sexually stimulated thinking about a market crash. But I said we're not talking too much finance, but you know, the market crash analogy. But you're recently single. You're not hiding that. You've even said yesterday, my wife left me.
Yeah.
Right? So, and you've kind of immersed yourself into the red pill space as of late, right? Whether it's Rollo, Fresh and Fit that we mentioned, and I think you read The Rational Male, am I right?
Right.
So I guess being a good-looking, successful, high-value man, what's the biggest lesson you've taken away from being part of the red pill community?
Well, again, I want to thank Rollo because his book, The Rational Male, changed my life.
Really?
Yeah, because he kind of defined what I didn't know. I have a hypergamy. I didn't know that stuff, you know. And when my wife Kim left, and as I said yesterday, you know, I'm too much Marine Corps, you know, Semper Fi. And Patrick Bet-David is hoorah, he's airborne.
Army,
you know?
right.
My wife had enough of that shit. So I had to kind of wake up. And after she left, my friends kept coming up to me talking about Rollo, but they called me a whole new word. They said, you're a simp. I said, what's a simp?
People were calling you a simp.
Oh, my friends, yeah, they're good friends.
You're the biggest name, arguably one of the biggest names in the history of personal finance and self-development especially, and people are calling you simps.
Right.
How did you take that?
But not only that, they were talking about Karens. I had no idea what a Karen was. You know, I was so happily married, which was the mistake. I never cheated on my wife. You know, I have lots of opportunities. I just don't do that. So when she left, that's when my friends come up to me and says, because you're a simp. I said, what does that mean?
Get out of here.
And they said, and you go out, and then the other friends are Karens. I had no idea. So that's why I thank Rollo personally, because his book, Rational Male, clarified a lot of things, especially hypergamy. And then I started to understand that I wanted, you know, women hit the peak sexual market value somewhere between 19 and 30, I guess, in that range. But a guy after that, he can go downhill, but as Rollo says, women trade on beauty, men trade on success.
Right.
So I said, geez, it was kind of uplifting. I said, if I just stay more successful and get fit and do all those things like Fresh and Fit, I'm still in the game.
Yeah.
But I go to my gym at Lifetime Fitness, and the place is full of Karens, you know. I mean, holy mackerel. I mean, I feel for them because they're women, probably 40. And one woman has stuff hanging down here. She's a gut. She was a gut mom and all that. But exactly as Rollo says, she's a Karen.
She's completely lost
She's
her
gone.
Sexual market value is what you're saying.
Yeah, and then my other friend, George Gammon.
He's been on the show with Rollo. We've done an interview. Gammon, great guy.
And my friend Kenny McElroy.
Ken McElroy,
They were
shout out
calling
to
me
these
a
guys.
simp and a wimp and all this other
These
stuff.
are your friends,
Yeah.
super successful guys.
Waking me up. Same as Rollo.
Calling you a simp.
Wake me up. So anyway, I'm
So
waking
even
up.
Robert Kiyosaki needs to slap around a little bit.
Yeah. So anyway, I go to spin class, right?
Yeah.
And Gammon says to me, what are you doing in that pussy class? I said, George, what do you do? He says, he climbs Squaw Peak in Arizona. I said, yeah, but I'm in spin classes. What's the difference? I said, the back row where all the Karens are, the front row all the yoga pants are.
Exactly.
And so when these yoga pants are going for 50 minutes, I'm in heaven. And the spin goes that fast.
So you've positioned yourself second row, middle, best seat in the house.
As yoga pants were the biggest blessing a man could ever have. But anyway, they kind of, all these guys, George, Kenny McElroy, and Rollo, kind of woke me up, fresh and fit, woke me up, because I was a happily married, fat, beta male.
Wow.
A simp.
I've heard you say, I think it was on a Rich Cooper show, you called yourself a fat beta male.
Yeah.
Like you said this about yourself.
Married.
Happily married, fat beta male.
Yeah.
So what I want to do actually is I've written down some terminology that's kind of gets thrown out there in the manosphere. And I want to get your take on these very, I would say, pervasive terms that are thrown around, whether it's in the rational male or just the red pill space, and get your genuine reaction on a couple of these terms. Cool? So the first one is, and this is what I think Rich Cooper has kind of coined. Great guy.
Entrepreneurs in cars.
Entrepreneurs in cars. He says, chase excellence or pursue excellence,
Amen.
not women. So what does that resonate with you?
Well, he says you make it in the stacks. So I joined Lifetime Fitness, which is, I just walk out my back gate from my house, and there it is, And I'm in the stacks, working out. Now the view at Lifetime is fantastic because yoga pants are everywhere. So I'm chasing me to be a more excellent male, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. Exactly as Mr. Rollo Tomasi says, women chase success.
Yeah. So what's your advice? So you're successful already, and you're so successful that successful people come to you for advice. So what's your advice to young, we got 20-year-old male, 30-year-old male, 40-year-old guys. One guy said, hey, I've been married 20 years. I was a beta, and you've woken me up. So he says to me, I go, oh, whoa, amazing. Yeah. So what's your advice to young men out there when it comes to chasing success, not kind of having your blinders on and just focusing on chicks?
Well, first, one thing is that exactly as Rollo says about hypergamy, you get some hot woman on your case, you forget about success. You're chasing pussy, as you know. So I'd focus on getting rich because, as you know, it's money, sex, power, status. So because of guys like Rollo and Rich Cooper and all these guys, I have money, sex, power, success, status.
Of those that you just mentioned, what is the most important? If you can only have one, the money, the power, the sex, the status. If I said, all right, Kiyosaki, first round draft pick, what are you taking first?
Well, they're all a package.
I know it's a package deal, but one has got to be more important than the other.
Well, all too often, as I see a lot of men, fat beta men. They make a lot of money, but they have guts and all this stuff, and that's not attractive to a woman. So
money's not
rich,
the answer,
but they're not attractive. And so it's not one or the other. I just went for the whole thing. It's like, what did Rich say? Is you gotta chase
excellence, not women. Yes.
And that's all excellent to me.
Gotcha.
So the fortunate thing was I had a rich dad, and I learned about money early. And so I keep asking people, what does school teach you about money? Nothing.
Right.
So that's why so many guys aren't rich, But my poor dad was a PhD in education. He had no money at all. And I didn't want to follow in his footsteps. So I started off with rich dad, poor dad. And my rich dad was the one teaching me how to be successful. Like I was just saying with Patrick McDavid, is I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but rich dad said to me, he says, you have to learn how to sell. Now my poor dad thought salesmen were scum. So I had that going in my head. So when my rich dad says, learn to sell, I can hear my poor dad saying, well, salesmen are scum, they're crooks, they'll tell they're liars and all this stuff. So that was in my head. So, oh my God. So finally, Rich Dad was saying to me, he says, how can I get rich without selling? Well, sales equals income, as you know.
Correct. I'm a sales guy. That's by trade. I'm in financial sales.
So when I find somebody who's poor, because they can't sell. But a lot of it's because you have people like my poor dad saying salesmen are scum. Do you know what I mean? So that's inside your head already there. So when I said to my rich dad, I said, but I don't want to sell. I took real estate courses to get rich, like he advised. And finally, my rich dad asked me, so I just said, how's your sex life? So here, I'm a Marine, I'm in shape.
You're at what age at this point?
About 28, 27,
Okay.
27. I'm physically in good shape and all this, live in a nice place, nice cars. So I said, but I don't want to sell. He says, so Rich Dad says to me, how's your sex life? I said, it doesn't exist. Because you
At
can't
28?
sell.
Really?
Yeah, it's because you can't sell. I'm going. So with that, I said, I'd better learn how to sell.
Huh.
And so rather than I was going to fly for the airlines because I was a pilot. I went to work for Xerox because they had the best sales training. So I was flown from Hawaii to Leesburg, Virginia, and learned how to sell and all this. And I realized then is that sales equals income, but in all areas of life, you cannot sell, you cannot communicate, you cannot market. Toast.
So I love what you went there right there. So you said something on stage earlier. You said, listen, the sale starts when the customer says no.
Right.
So let's transition, to the relationships again. There's a famous acronym out there, or a famous saying that make money, make muscles, learn game, and hold frame. You ever heard this before? Yeah. Okay. MLD is the guy that said that. Shout out to him. So what you're kind of talking about is game. So a woman, you're in shape, you look great, okay? You've got the money, no doubt. When you're talking sales,
status.
You've got status, no doubt.
Success.
What you're talking about is game. So what's your game like? Now that you've kind of have all the success and status, it's almost, I'm trying to make that correlation between sales in the business world and having game in the sexual marketplace. How do you operate that?
Well, let me tell you a better story than that, because this is for real.
Let's do it.
So after I learned how to sell, I'm an entrepreneur now, I'm doing good. And then I spot my wife, Kim. And I was at TGI Fridays in Honolulu. I never saw her face for a good 10 minutes. She has the greatest butt and legs I've ever seen. I'm going, holy shit, how did she get into those jeans?
And this is at TGI Fridays nonetheless, all right?
Yeah,
so don't hate on
upstairs and
TGI.
downstairs, right? I walk around. So I'm cruising, I see these legs and this jeans and this great butt. I'm going, holy shit, how did she get into those? Oh my God, All of a sudden I look up and she's smiling at me. Even saying Kim, she has a smile that'll take your heart away. She's one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. She's more beautiful on the inside, and she's beautiful on the outside. So immediately I ask her out. She goes, no. What? Salesmanship because the customer says no. And I ask. They teach you in sales school, you got to ask 6 different ways. I send flowers, this.
Right.
She still says no. I go, what the shit, So I do my market research. So I knew one of the women she worked with. I was a rugby player at the time also, so I was all macho stuff and all this. So her girlfriend was Phyllis. I said, Phyllis, what can you tell me about, her name was Kim Meyer. What can you tell me about Kim Meyer? And she says, well, this. I said, okay, tell me what Kim likes. She says, what she hates. I'll tell you what Kim hates. Because all the young bucks at the time, when they meet a girl in Hawaii, they said, let's go to Maui.
That was the move.
No, that's what most guys try.
That's what I'm saying. That was the play. Let's go to Maui.
Let's go to Maui, and that means let's fuck. So I tried that too. That didn't work. You know what I mean? So I finally said to Phyllis, I said, what does she like? And she said, this. Market research. And she told me. And she says, so Phyllis looks at me and says, you stupid son of a bitch. Don't you know who Kim's best friend is? I went, no. It's Karen Spicer, my ex-girlfriend. She goes, yeah, you didn't know that? I said, no, I didn't know that. She says, okay, go talk to Karen. There was only one problem. Karen hated me.
Yeah, I was going to say, you think you're going to get a referral from Karen over here.
Me.
You just spent the first 10 minutes talking shit about Karens, and now your ex-girlfriend is Karen.
So I called Karen up. Yeah, fuck you son of a bitch.
No referral there.
You guys all know what I'm talking about, right? I pissed off Karen, and she didn't want to talk to me. So now the sales job is with Karen, who now hates me anyway. And finally I said, please, I begged her. She says, okay, I'll put in the good word. I said, what good could you say about me? She thought about it. She said, okay, I'll say that.
What was the one good?
She says, you'll never be bored with me. I'm hyperactive. So finally, Karen calls Kim and says, I would go out with him. So Kim thought Karen wanted to go back with me. So Karen came over, we had sex, which was great. But anyway, I said, no, I really want Kim, you know. So finally, Kim says, okay, I'll go with you on one date. So again, more market research. And Kim hates the hustle. You know, she's gorgeous. I mean, every guy's hitting on her. She's just charming. She's beautiful, more beautiful on the inside than the outside, you know. So she says, okay. She hates this. But what does she like? She says, she likes moonlight walks on the beach with a bottle of champagne. What? Hot dog, $25. $25. No trip to Maui, you know, all this stuff. So I happened to live at the best hotel in Waikiki in the Colony Surf, and downstairs is the most exclusive restaurant, Michelle's. So I go downstairs and I tip the maitre d' and I tip the valets and all this. So Kim comes pulling up, and the valet gets out. He goes, "You must be Kim. Robert's expecting you."
Oh, pimp move.
And she comes up to my room. I said, hi. And I don't try and jump her in the room. I said, let's go down into Michelle's, you know. So we walk downstairs. The maitre d' is waiting, good-looking young guy. He says, Robert, your table is waiting, and your champagne is chilling. So Kim is sitting there. She's got what she wants, moonlight, beach, bottle of champagne. Oh, we're toasting. He says, by the way, Robert, why not, exactly as Phyllis said, why don't you go for a walk on the beach with Kim? So he opens the gate. We walk straight onto the beach. We're sipping champagne, walking. We were together for 35 years. But it was a sales job.
Had to be a sales job.
Market research, you know, asking questions, persistence, asking different ways. And then, so from that night on, we were together all the time. And so, I wouldn't be a rich man without her. She is beauty.
Because she's still your business partner. Correct me if I'm wrong.
She's got beauty, brains, she's got a very big heart.
Yeah.
So the loss was devastating. And she said, I'm out of here. So that's when Kenny and George Gammon started getting on me. That I run to Rollo, and the lights come on.
So it seems to me, you know, like the 5 love languages. 5 love languages: quality time, acts of service, words of affirmation. So it's 5 things, but it seems like to me, for her, it was quality time. She just wanted to be alone with you, focused, attention, moonlight, all that.
Called market research. She wanted to walk on the beach with champagne.
So
$25, I was in.
Are you familiar with the acronym MEET? How women are always concerned with a man's meat. You're thinking, don't get gross, though, Adam, don't get gross here. So MEET, the acronym MEAT, it stands for they want your money, energy, attention, and time. And they're coming after all 4. So when you hear something like this, you ever heard this before?
No.
Okay, I think it's Coach Greg Adams that coined this, so respect to you. Money, energy, attention, time. That's what women want from you. Now you gave your wife 35 years of your best years of your life, but it sounds like you're almost happy. Like, where are you at now? The fact that you seem great, almost is better than ever. You're in shape, more money than ever. Confidence, your friendship is great. She's still your business partner, but you're single. You're 75 now? Okay, so walk me through that dynamics of you've had a successful marriage, but you're 35 years, it didn't work out. You're single, you're dating attractive women now. They want MEAT. Just, you're hearing all these things. How do you process all that?
Well, first of all, exactly as I said to Patrick last night and today, Kim got tired of the Semper Fi and hoorah.
Okay.
Too strong military.
Like, meaning that's what you would talk about? That's how you would act?
No, I never physically abusive, but I was mentally and emotionally abusive.
Really?
So I remember I would argue and chew her out and all this stuff.
Because that's what you learned in the...
Oh, that's my behavior.
Okay. From the military, you learned that behavior?
Well, that's
just you.
Anyway,
that's in your DNA.
And then...
but some would call that being an alpha. No?
Could be, but I call it being an asshole.
Okay. Respect. So you recognize that you were being the asshole.
But I could hear what she was saying. She says, why are you never happy? And then, so I looked at that. But then I realized that the reason I'm never happy because I'm driven for success. If I get happy, I'm content. So part of my life was always to be unhappy. So I would drive more and more and more. And she says, why don't you be kinder? But Marine Corps and this Patrick McDavid, airborne, kindness is not in our vocabulary. So I had to work on me. So I see a quote unquote a therapist probably 2 times a week working on why am I so mean? You know what I mean? And why am I not happy?
Mean to her, mean-spirited in general?
Anybody.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Of all the things I've heard about you, I've never heard Robert Kiyosaki is mean. Never heard that. It's the first time I've heard this. Have you guys ever heard this? Okay. So
Well, yeah.
what did she know that the rest of the world doesn't know?
I was just mean. You know, like, so anyway, a lot of the therapy I do with this woman named Seal, it's to heal my relationship with my mom. 'Cause my mom was a beautiful, loving woman. But my father was an asshole. Poor dad was an asshole to her. And I kind of copied him. That's like I said, you know, poor dad says, you sell. You don't like salesmen. So we carry those thoughts. So we carry those imprints of our parents into marriage too.
So, you know, the rich
But my dad never cheated on my mom, so that's why I got that lesson. I will never cheat on Kim.
Got it.
Never.
Well, I'd like to focus on the poor dad for a second, because the rich dad gets all the credit.
Right.
And you say that you're like, the reason that we're sitting here doing an interview is not because Robert Kiyosaki's poor, because you're rich. So the rich dad gets all the credit. But it almost seems like the poor dad was the bigger motivating force. Don't do this. Learn how, sales is not good. You know, he was an asshole, as you said. So, you know, I'm trying to understand like that dynamic. Like, 'cause for instance, I had a relationship with my father. I would tell him, I'm never going to be like you, straight up. Okay, I'm going to be the best version of myself, and I'm going to be the best person I can be. And it's gotten me to where I am today, sitting down with you doing interviews. So, but I said, I'm never going to be like you. But I'm not an asshole. I get along with everybody. Any relationships ended, it's always been cordial. But you have called yourself an asshole. But I guess, so what are you learning in this counseling to be a better person?
Well, it's more than counseling, okay? I really suggest everybody, part of my speed dial is have a quote-unquote therapist. Because we're all fucked up. Anybody that is not fucked up is lying, you know, stay away from them. But it was just core stuff, core values, core things. I mean, you know, in Vietnam, we had to kill a lot of people.
Damn.
Kids included. And I had no problem with it. So one day I was going to shoot a little boy, and I just pulled my gun out like this, and I was going to blow his brains out, because he was Viet Cong, probably 10 years old, you know.
Communist side of things.
They're on the other side. He's putting a satchel charge in my aircraft. So I catch that little bastard, you know. It was so automatic. So trained to think that way.
To kill someone.
Shoot him. Enemy.
Damn.
He crossed the line. He's an enemy. And my mother had passed away 2 years earlier, and I could hear her saying to me, she says, stop, stop, stop. I did not give you life to take another mother's child.
Damn.
I put the hammer down, let the kid go. My career as a Marine was over. I couldn't kill anymore. So that's what my wife, Kim, always, you know, she says, you can be a lot of things in life. Most important thing to be is be kind.
Wow.
So I'm working on being kinder, smiling. You know, I listen to like Dennis Prager on how to be happy.
Prager, yeah.
The way you get happier is to make other people happy first. So it's kind of a therapy, it's a practice, you know what I mean? And then the other guy, the FBI negotiator, Chris something, but he says, you know, like, smile.
Yeah. Is that the guy who
Smile.
wrote Never Split the Difference?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Great guy.
Yeah.
He smiled with the eyes. So
Smize
today,
is what it's called.
Yeah. Well, today I'm reprogramming me, because I'm the biggest problem I know, biggest opportunity. So I just reprogram my brain to say, smile, make that person feel good first. Don't think about myself. But that's therapy and practice, you know, every day. Because as Patrick alluded to yesterday, was my reputation is I'm also mean as hell. I've gone after people in the room. So I've done stupid things too. But because I'm so conditioned to kill. I mean, that's the Marine Corps.
Damn. Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you
Yeah.
for getting real with us. And it's interesting because you said as much, because you are associated with success and wealth, right? But you said even at that point you were kind of mean and you were unhappy. Interesting that, how you can kind of have all this success, write the book that everyone, there's 2,000 people in the room. Who's read Rich Dad Poor Dad? Everybody read it. These are all entrepreneurs, they're all CEOs. And like you're associated with success, but behind the curtain, you had this mean spirit and you were kind of being an asshole. And it's just interesting how you can you don't expect that, right? After all the success, you would think, let me enjoy this. But anyway, not to get too heavy, I'd like to go to a lighter topic.
Wait. But you see, the dark side is what drives me. See, everybody has a dark side. Everybody says they don't back up, don't turn your back on them, But the dark side is where the power comes from.
Damn.
A lot of people say that when you can think the dark thoughts, that's the power. But no, I think happy thoughts. Bullshit.
It's like what Jordan Peterson says is like, and I believe you reference it on stage, right? About it being a strong man versus being a weak man.
Yeah.
I'd rather be a capable strong man and be nice.
But my dark side is what drives me.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, is that when I knew I was going to go to Vietnam, I was flying the helicopter gunship, life expectancy 30 days.
When you're flying to Vietnam, right?
Yeah. All that did was inspire me to get better. Other people backed down. So to get better, I had to be a better killer.
Damn.
If you understand that, you go, I don't want to kill, I don't want to do this. Well, you shouldn't be in the Marine Corps, idiot.
Right.
Join the Coast Guard.
Damn, sorry to our Coast Guard followers out there. Last couple of questions for you.
A quick story.
Yeah.
We had 600 guys. This is 1969. I was graduating, and they were looking for pilots. So the Army was there, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and Marines. And the Air Force gets up there and says, you like to play golf? Join the Air Force. We have country clubs first. Army talked about flying different types of aircraft. Navy talked about hitting a carrier. And the Coast Guard said, we save people's lives. And the Marine stands up there and says, look here, you fuckers. That's how they spoke. You want to save people's lives? Join the fucking Coast Guard. You want to kill people? Join the Marine Corps. So I signed up for him.
Damn.
I said, no. The logic was, if I'm going to go to war, I want to go with guys who are there to kill.
Yeah.
I don't want any peaceniks on the same team. Do you know what I mean? So that's the dark side. I mean, we all have a dark side. To think we don't is ridiculous.
And a man needs to tame that dark side.
I get my power from. So since I was going to kill that man and I was going to be killed, I studied harder, I practiced harder, I flew harder, I shot better. So that's what success came from. But the trouble is it leaked over into marriage. Okay, that drive was still there. So
now you're single, status, everything.
I'm still
galore.
married. But
you're still married,
separated,
but not together. This is going to be a play on words a little bit. I know you invest a lot in gold, right? Gold, silver, Bitcoin, real estate, obviously, but gold. So
anything the government cannot print.
Correct.
Correct.
Staying on that gold topic and being single, you invest in gold, but how do you protect yourself from gold diggers?
Well, it's a concern. I want to give a shout out to my assistant, Sarah.
Okay, I thought you were about to give a shout out to Kanye right there because, how he feels about gold diggers. They impress him with no broke.
But I get hit on quite a bit. And I have to run them past Sarah.
Sarah's your vetting process.
She's like my little conscience, I say, hey, Sarah, I met this, I forgot her name now, but she says, okay. So that same woman I met, she sends me a picture of her nude. And Sarah goes, no, don't you go out with her.
Because it was a nude photo to begin with, or just that she didn't like what she saw in the photo?
She says she's after something. So Sarah is kind of my, my conscience.
Gotcha.
Or my intelligence, which.
So you have a close enough relationship with your assistant, Sarah, that you'll say, oh, just got this nude photo, check it out. She's like, Robert, no.
I have to run it past Sarah.
Wow. So ladies out there, if you want to get with Robert, you got to get in with Sarah.
Sarah's got to
Exactly.
approve.
It's kind of like when you wanted to get in with Kim, you had to get back with Karen over there. Sarah is now the vetting process.
And one more thing is that the reason men are more stupid is because they have two heads, one here and one here.
Yes.
And when this one thinks, you're
Yes.
over.
You got to think with the upper head, not
You're
the lower. Now you live in Scottsdale.
Phoenix.
I'm sorry, Phoenix, which is
The office is in Scottsdale.
exactly. It's right out. Scottsdale's right
Yeah,
outside
close.
Phoenix.
It's no
Okay.
difference.
So I live in South Beach, born and raised in Miami. Been in the nightlife scene and in the financial scene. Now with Valuetainment. Partied my
fun,
ass
huh?
off. It's fun. Fresh Fit. All the guys are down there. But I got to tell you, Scottsdale, specifically, Phoenix area, Scottsdale, some of the best looking women party times I've ever seen. I don't spend a lot of time there. When I'm there, I'm blown away. So is there a very specific reason that you're hanging out in Phoenix, Scottsdale, or is that just, so what's that like just in that part of the world? Because it's amazing out there.
It was a crash of around 1999. There was a spotted owl crash in Oregon, and I moved to Oregon to buy real estate. When Phoenix crashed with that SNL crash, I moved to Phoenix with Kim, and
Gotcha.
we bought the most real estate. And it's been really good for us. But you're absolutely true. I was at this big fundraiser in Arizona, and this guy says, he's from Hollywood. He says, you got more beautiful women here
Yes.
than in Hollywood.
Yeah, and less fake.
Yeah, and I think a reason for it is a lot of them are from the Midwest. Whereas if they're California, they're as phony as they come. But the girls from like Indiana, Ohio, Chicago, and all that, they're more genuine, they're more real, and they're beautiful.
Yes.
So that's my best explanation for it, because my best friend, he's from Arizona also. If the woman was from California, it was his. And if it was from outside of California, it was mine. That was how we split the territory up.
That's it. So you get Cali, I get the rest of the
Because
country.
he could put up with that bullshit.
And where was Kim from?
She's from Oregon.
Oregon. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one of the 49 states you're entitled
Yeah.
to. You got the California. So last couple questions. You talked about hypergamy. You said you were not familiar with this topic whatsoever. We talk about the concept of hypergamy all the time, which is essentially the act of dating up. Women want to date up or marry up, right? So and it's status, it's income, it's all that kind of between. Rollo can kind of do this justice way better than I, but women will only date across and up. They want to date someone either on their level or better.
That was mind-blowing to me. I went, wow.
You had never heard about this.
No.
Because men will, if she's hot, well, we don't care what they do.
Anything.
Right? Yeah. You'll take up here, down here, as long as she's attractive.
Men fall in love with body parts.
Yeah, men fall in love with their eyes, women fall in love with their ears, how you talk to them, how you treat them, how they make them feel. Whereas you could have the best, resume, best career, make the most money. If you're not attractive, a guy's not going to be interested. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So learning this concept from Rollo and the rational male, what's your takeaway with this concept of hypergamy?
Well, when I meet younger women like 19, I have one apprentice right now. Her name is Kaylee. She's 19. And I'm warning her. I said, you're hotter. You're going to get hotter and hotter and hotter until you're maybe 27 or 28. But don't get sucked in, and then don't be a Karen. So exactly as Rollo says, the more successful a woman becomes, fewer men.
Right.
So I don't go out with Kaylee and all that, or her girlfriends. But I talk to the younger women and says, go for success, but your gene pool goes down. Whereas me, the more success I have, gene pool goes up.
Because of hypergamy.
Yes.
So if you're a doctor, if you're a female doctor, as an example, and you're making $250,000 a year, what percentage of men are on your level?
Not many.
2%.
Yeah.
Right? So if you meet 100 men, only 2 will qualify if the concept of hypergamy is applied, shrinking the dating pool.
Yeah, but there's another aspect of it. Some of the best women out there were married to doctors. And they have kids and they dump them and all this. So it's kind of interesting because they married them, the women married up with a doctor, but most doctors are kind of assholes, so they break up.
So do you have any strong feelings on feminism these days and modern day feminism, teaching women basically, you don't need a man, you got this yourself, you do it by yourself? There's a stat out there that we talk about all the time that by 2030, 45% of working women aged 25 to 45 by 2030 will be non-married, no kids, likely a couple cats in their lives. So, you have kids?
No.
Okay.
As Rollo says, I hope you like dogs.
So what kind of women expect to have in the future if women play by the same rules as men, right? Pursue excellence, don't pursue men. How do you think that will work out for women? If they, wholeheartedly agree, men should pursue excellence, not women, then women will come. But if women want to apply that same set of methodology, pursue excellence, not men, you're going to have all these women who are single, no kids, maybe with some money in their life. But how do you see that working out for these women?
Well, it's good for single men. You know what I mean? But I think Rollo was talking about it, how the big investment houses are now targeting funds, especially for single women who have money. Do you know what I mean? Generally, they're targeting the man with money.
Yes.
But a big market for like Fidelity and all that are single women with money.
To increase, to sustain their sexual market value.
No, there's going to be fewer and fewer. I mean, more and more women who have money but not married or with kids. And so that's what I think was Rollo was saying, that that's going to be the big market for the Fidelity and those other guys.
Got it. Last couple questions. I appreciate the time. There's something, you said you're pretty loyal, right? You probably had a million opportunities to cheat, but you always stayed loyal. There's a famous quote out there. They say,
my dad taught me that.
Because your poor dad.
Yeah. Rich dad was a little different.
Rich dad was, okay, well, this goes to my question, is that a woman's loyalty is tested when her man has nothing, right? But a man's loyalty is tested when he has everything, right? Let me say that again.
That's a good point. I never heard that before.
A woman's loyalty is tested when his man's got nothing. She's like, why the hell am I here? Because women date status. Women date money, right? A man's loyalty is tested when I got all this money, I got status. What am I doing with this one lady? So you've had money, status, fame, credibility, all that, but you stayed loyal. So you said you've never heard this. How does that resonate with you when you hear a quote like this?
Well, all I know is, like I said, Kim is beautiful on the outside. She's more beautiful on the inside. She's also smart. But when we had nothing was when we were the strongest.
Really?
Yeah. And we had nothing. We moved from, I met her in Hawaii, moved to California. We slept in cars. We had no money at all. And we stayed together, and then we built a freaking empire. But what happened is when the millions started to come in, she didn't need me anymore. Or, she doesn't need a man.
Damn.
I'm not saying it's good or bad.
And you guys are 50-50 partners, or how does that work in the business?
She doesn't need the money.
Got it.
I mean, she has the money. Doesn't need a man, you know what I mean? Or me. So I would say it's pretty true. But my love and respect for Kim is when we had nothing, worked the hardest. And I think most women, I think her mother and dad said to leave me, but she didn't leave me because we had nothing. We actually slept in cars. We slept in neighbors' basements.
Damn, she stuck by you when you had nothing.
Yep.
But now when you're worth X amount, 100 million, she leaves you.
Yep.
Wow. What's the lesson there?
Well, like I said, she got tired of the John Wayne.
Gotcha. Badass. All right, last couple questions and we'll wrap up. I know we got to get going. You familiar with this Andrew Tate guy?
No.
You have not heard of Andrew Tate? Okay. So
I live in a little cloistered world. Basically a monk.
Got it.
Not really.
Well, you talk about, we're talking about Rollo, we're talking about Fresh and Fit, we're talking about George Gammon. The biggest name in the manosphere, red pill space, whatever you want to call it, is this guy Andrew Tate. The biggest name. He's so big that every single social media platform has just completely banned him. Have you heard about this?
No.
YouTube, Facebook, Meta, Instagram, TikTok, banned because he's talking about masculinity. He's talking about being a fucking man. I don't care. Get shit done. It's not easy to be a man. It is what it is. Get out there, kick ass, take names. And by the way, if you're going to go get some chicks, don't just get one. Get a bunch. All good. Live it up. And people said, nah, this is not what
for?
This is what he's being banned for. So the fact that you haven't even heard of him is crazy. But so when you hear that social media platforms are banning free speech, whatever it may be, right? You'll say some shit. You'll talk trash about Biden, you'll talk this, you'll say some stuff.
I've been taken down too.
You have been taken down?
Yeah, because Trump's my friend.
Okay.
So when the Trump boys are on, they take me off.
So what's that like, being, whether you're Tate, whether you're Kiyosaki, whether you're even Trump, the concept of free speech being taken away from you now?
Well, the thing I say is that as Marines, we fought in Vietnam. I didn't fight Republicans. I didn't fight for Republicans. I didn't fight for Democrats. I didn't fight for liberals or conservatives. I fought for freedom. Marines and most armed forces guys fight for freedom. And what they're doing with this social media, horrible. How can they take our freedom away? That's terrible. Like Trump gets raided violating the Fourth Amendment. How can they do that? You know, I don't trust the media. In Vietnam, I never trusted the media anyway, because I fly in these battles and I'd watch Walter Cronkite on CBS Evening News. And the battle he was describing, I was there. It wasn't what they said. They made us look bad.
In Vietnam?
Oh,
You came home and people were spit on.
yeah. They made us, who were losing our friends, you know, your friends, the aircraft doesn't return, you go, shh. But they were calling us baby killers. They had pictures of Me Lai. They had pictures of the guy shooting a guy in the head. And it wasn't the way it was.
So you learned at that point to don't trust the media and don't trust the government.
That's why Trump said fake news. He knows what he's talking about.
Crazy question for you. You've probably never been asked this question, but I feel like this is the appropriate time. I asked a couple of our friends out there what they would pick. I'd like to get your guys' opinion on it too. You've only got two options here. You can't say, well, can I have two options? You could have a $1 million net worth, 1 million, way less than what you have now, 1 million, but you get all the women you want, whatever you want. Or you can have $1 billion, 1 billion, but you get no women, zero, nothing, you're by yourself. What would you pick?
Tough choice.
I know, that's the tough question here.
I'd rather have the women.
Really?
The women in my life, like Sarah I told you about, and Kim and Mona in my company. The women in my life have been magical. They're the best. So I think I love women. And when they're good, they're great. And when they're bad, they're horrible. You know, so, but I think, I don't know, I've been blessed with great women like my mother.
That's awesome.
Great mom.
That's awesome.
And they play an important role in any man's life.
Last question for you, and I really appreciate this. I think this is, we have some viral moments here. I assume some questions you've never been asked before, especially that last one. Yeah. The last question is concerning legacy. You're 75 now. I don't want to get doomy and gloom, but that's technically, you've just now reached the fourth quarter of life, right? God willing, you make it to 100 and then beyond. I think we all wish that for you. When it's time to meet the man upstairs and you're 100-something years old, and the world talks about Robert Kiyosaki. Oh, you've never read Rich Dad Poor Dad? Or Robert Kiyosaki, this guy. What do you want your legacy to be?
Well, I don't really think about it. You know, like last night, I went to an obscure restaurant. They still knew me there. And that's not why I do it. If you know what I mean? It's nice. People come up to talk to you about autographs and pictures. It's nice. Lots of women. It's nice. But that's not why I do it. If I could pass one message on I got in the Marine Corps. Before every mission, you know, I was on a carrier like this, 7 ships around us. We're the battle group going in. I'd sit on the bow of the ship, on the carrier, and just get in harmony with the waves, you know. And as they say, there's no atheist in a foxhole. So the next morning, we're going to strap in crew of 5, gunships and all this stuff, get the guns ready. But at night, I'd sit there, and all I asked for, not that I didn't die, I asked that I fought with courage. So every day, I still fight with courage, because it's worth living for.
Awesome, man.
To live like a fat old guy playing golf, I'd rather die.
Not for you.
No.
Okay. Respect. Robert Kiyosaki, the man, the myth, the legend. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
And where can everyone find you?
Well, there's richdad.com. We have a great team back there. We're pumping out more and more information on social media, because the mission of the Rich Dad Company is to elevate the financial well-being of humanity. I see the biggest problem facing America and the world today is the gap between rich and poor. It's too wide. It's now dangerously wide. And so I've asked the question since Rich Dad Poor Dad came out in 1997, what does school teach you about money? Nothing. And we wonder why this gap gets bigger.
Of course.
That's criminal.
Of course.
We have to
follow this man, learn from this man, and appreciate this man. He's got at least 25 years left before we say goodbye to him. So he's going to make it to 100, and he's going to be dominating the airwaves until then. So, Robert, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Very much.